What's up, guys? Brady Briggs here. Today, I want to go over a few times that a fighter came back too soon. Now, considering what we saw last weekend at UFC 257, and also considering what we have to look forward to in the first third of this year, maybe the first half, but Dana White said the first third, so we're going to go with that. Now, obviously, at UFC 257, Michael Chandler just ran right through Dan Hooker. Like, no one's ever done that to Hooker before. He's only ever been finished once with strikes. It was to a 25-3 pro kickboxer, a 17-time kickboxing champion, a Muay Thai and Taekwondo black belt. It's the only guy that could do it, and he did it in the third round. Chandler did it in the first. Now, Hooker, his last fight was in June of 2020 against Dustin Poirier, but he had two straight-up 5-round wars in that year. He fought Paul Felder in February, won a split decision, and then he fought Poirier in June and lost a unanimous decision. You would think 6 months would be enough to come back, but it's not, man. After going through two 5-round wars like that, it's not enough time. And Michael Chandler proved it by going right through him like a hot knife through butter. I don't think anyone expected that. Dan Hooker is one of the most durable talents in the entire sport, not just the UFC, not just the lightweight division. He is so tough, and I think it took too much out of him. Next, this isn't really from a fight, but Tony Ferguson, when he was supposed to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov last year in April, he still made weight for that date, and then came and fought like 3 weeks later in May against Justin Gaethje. I don't think that was a good idea. Obviously, it's not coming back too soon from a fight, but you shouldn't be cutting weight twice in 1 month and then fighting after the second time. That's just a terrible idea. He's a straight-up gangster. That's why he did it. He's the only person that would do it. I'm glad he did because, that's just such a Tony Ferguson thing to do. But I don't think it helped him. I think he would have lost the fight anyway. I said that going in. I was so upset when that fight was made because Justin Gaethje is just a terrible matchup for him. Like, his shot selection is too good. His wrestling defense is too good. He hits too hard. That's exactly what we saw. I was very upset. Very good performance by Gaethje, though. It was really his coming out party. Next, this is a good one. Chad Mendes, when he fought Frankie Edgar in December of 2015. Now, I'm going to go through a couple of his more recent fights to this point. He fought Jose Aldo in October of 2014, that 5-round war. Then he came back and fought Ricardo Lamas in April, got a first-round knockout. And he then fought Conor McGregor in July, just a few months later, on short notice, got TKO'd. But this is where the point of this comes in. He fought Conor McGregor in July. He came back in December to fight Frankie Edgar. And he got caught with just a little glancing left hook. I think it was either a right or a left hook. I think it was a left. It's been a while since I've seen that fight. I was very upset. I don't like watching that result. I was a huge Chad Mendes fan. And I'd really wanted to see that fight for a long time. And I was so happy it hadn't been, man. I think Conor hitting him as many times as he did, he took that chin away from him. He came back less than half a year later and got knocked out by someone he probably wouldn't have gotten knocked out by if he hadn't fought that year, or if he hadn't been TKO'd earlier that year. Frankie Edgar's never been a knockout guy. Like, yeah, he's knocked a couple dudes out. He's knocked a couple really good fighters out, but I just seriously doubt that's what would have happened if he didn't fight Conor McGregor 5 months prior. Next is another good one. Mike Perry versus Jeff Neal. Now, Mike Perry, if you guys remember, fought Vicente Luque in August of 2019. And man, what a war that was. It was a 3-round fight, but that doesn't take away from everything that happened. Man, he got his nose busted across his whole entire face. Like, man, he didn't look the same at all. Like, there's no way his nose could have even been healed by the time he fought Jeff Neal. I thought the same thing about Calvin Kattar after he fought Jeremy Stephens going into the Dan Ige fight. Got his nose broken twice in a row. He fought like 2 months. You know what I mean. Anyway, his Neal fight came 4 months later in December. No one's ever knocked Mike Perry out before. Jeff Neal is he is a beast, especially on the feet. Like, man, he's got so much athleticism and so much power. But again, like, he did it in like 90 seconds. I don't think Mike Perry would have gotten finished if he hadn't taken all that damage 4 months earlier. Next is Joseph Benavidez and Deiveson Figueiredo too. Now, you remember they fought last year in February, the first time. It was a relatively close fight until all that controversial bullshit. I mean, I didn't really think it was that awfully controversial, but I mean, I guess he did get headbutted, right? And that's what led up to the finish. But whether he got headbutted or not, Deiveson was still going to throw that same cross that he threw to drop him with. Think what you will on that. He came back in July, though, for the immediate rematch about 5 months later. And, man, it was probably the most one-sided beatdown in UFC history. He should not have taken that second fight. He sure as hell shouldn't have taken it when he did. He is definitely a case of someone that came back too soon. Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier won. This is another case where you'd think half a year would be enough time to recover. Stipe fought Francis Ngannou, defended his belt against him in January of 2018. Now, while he did get hit a lot in that first round and a little bit in the second, he pretty much mauled Francis the entire rest of the fight. But the hook that Daniel Cormier caught Stipe with in that first fight, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. He fought Daniel Cormier in July. Fought Ngannou in January, Cormier the first time in July. Cormier starches him with a left hook, or actually I think it was a right hook. And, you know, it's over toward the end of the first round. Now, they fought twice more. Daniel was doing very well in the second fight until he got tired. He probably would have won that decision if he could have held on. Even though it was in the fourth round, you still had a whole other round to score. And he would have lost the fourth because of those shovel hooks that Stipe made the beautiful adjustment to land so many of. Nonetheless, Stipe took those same shots that he took in the first one that knocked him out. He took those same shots, or that same shot rather, in the third fight numerous times. And I do mean numerous times. And it didn't even come close to phasing him. Half a year after fighting Francis Ngannou, don't fight another elite fighter. This is probably the number one on the list. Michael Bisping versus Kelvin Gastelum. Now, if you remember, Michael Bisping's last title fight was against the returning Georges St. Pierre. He really got fucked up in that fight, like badly, especially in the third round. George dropped him and then rained down some serious ground upon some lethally vicious elbows, a whole fuckload of them. And then he took his back, sunk in the rear naked choke, got the finish. That happened in November of 2017. Do you know when Michael Bisping's fight with Kelvin Gastelum was? November of 2017. 3 weeks later. And it showed because Kelvin just kind of like Conor McGregor does, glanced back and landed his beautiful cross. He's got the best timing on that in the sport. He and Conor anyway. And man, it just slept Michael. Michael's never been knocked out like that before, except for by Dan Henderson, which he avenged. He got knocked out by Vitor Belfort, but let's be honest, that was like TRT tour, first off. Second off, like he lost his vision because of that fight. That's why drug testing is implemented. But dude, to come back 3 weeks after taking an ass beating like that, he really proved to us why you shouldn't do that. And the reason that I came up with this is, like I said in the first half, or like the very beginning of the video, what is supposed to happen in the first third of this year is Deiveson Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno 2. They fought in December. Look at that fight. Are you really not going to give them at least 8, 9, 10 months? You're really going to give them 4 or 5 to come back and put on another performance against one another after a fucking war like that? Where literally anybody else at 125 pounds that would have ate all those shots from either Brandon Moreno or Deiveson Figueiredo would have been knocked out. Neither of them did, but I have a fear that one of them will get seriously fucking hurt in this rematch because they're not given enough time. That's not anywhere near enough time. First off, you need half that amount of time just to put in your training camp. Okay? I think they need to be training for a little bit here and there, not like a training camp, but, stay in shape. And then come back in September or October to fight each other. I know that's putting the belt on the shelf for a while, but, dude, think about these guys' health, man. Like, they each took 4 or 5 years off each other's lives in that last fight. and 4 or 5 months later, you're going to have a rematch. Didn't Deiveson Figueiredo versus Joseph Benavidez too show us why you shouldn't do that? I don't know. What do you guys think?